Welcome! It is Friday and I decided I am going to make a sweet potato crust and I'm going to fill it with apples. And I'm doing this recipe on the fly, so I don't have a specific recipe that I'm following because I didn't really see one that was specific to a sweet potato pie crust. Now, apple filling, you can follow a standard apple filling if you decide to, but I'm not a sugary person. I don't really like to gel things up too much with gelatin. So yeah, we're gonna do this step by step. I'm gonna write it down because in the future, if I really like this recipe and how I did it, I wanna be able to recreate it. I bought a 3-pound bag of purple sweet potatoes from Trader Joe's. They're the Murasaki. I think it was about $3.99 for a bag of them. And then the apples, they are just, I want to say they were called sweet peas or something. I tossed the bag already. I'm so sorry. Bad. But I don't really, apples, I don't really have a preference for them. In general, I don't like eating them raw. That's more of a texture thing. I do like them, but I just don't like crunching into them and biting into them and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do, I already washed the potatoes, I already washed the apples. I'm going to boil the potatoes, and once they're soft enough where a fork just slides into them like butter, I'm popping them in the refrigerator or the freezer, depends on what time frame I'm looking at. And once they get cool, I'm going to grate them up. I might use my grating machine and I might use my hand grater. I will come back and show you how I do what I'm going to do once they're at the stage of grating to make the crust. And then the apples, I will show you how I cube them and basically peel them. All right. Hopefully I will take you away and you'll enjoy the day and learn something, a sweet treat without too much sugar. All right. So I'm still waiting for the potatoes to do all the potato softening and wonderful, marvelous transformation that I need. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start the apples real quick just to show you what's going on because I think it's going to take a little longer, which will be nice. I'm using 1/4 cup of sugar, brown sugar. I prefer it over white sugar. I just kind of give it a mash. I'm going to put it in this cup like that, and I'm going to do a little bit of water. Now, it's a preference. You can do lemon juice for the apples as you cut them and dice them and so forth. But I prefer to just kind of infuse them with a little bit of sugar. I probably will maybe use 1/2 cup at the most in this recipe. These are 1/4 cup. And I got my handy dandy. We'll put this on the right side. I got my handy dandy apple slicer thing. And the nice thing about this one is it has a setting where you can just do big chunks, or you can bring it down and twist it, and it twists out, and you can have thinner slices. And it saves room in your drawer. That's always nice to save room in your drawer. So let's see. Yay, just like that, bam. You can also, if you're creative enough, or coordinated enough, I should say, not necessarily creative enough, you can use this to do the bloomin' onions if you want to. Sometimes if you get onions that aren't that big, you can just slice them off. And then you just pull them out. And I don't necessarily peel the apples every time I make apple pie and apple crisp and stuff. You don't have to. It really depends what you like and what you don't like. And I know once in a while the apple will, the skin stays hard. So what I will do is I will just peel them like this. It's much easier for me than trying to do the little hand peeler. And then I just chop them into little cubes. And as I go, I put them in the sugar water. It does help prevent browning to put them in sugar water. I have a total of 6 apples I'm doing this to. So I'm not going to make you watch me cut up 6 total apples and do this 4. But this gives you an idea of how I prep my apples for apple pies. And this, you can also do apple rings. You can do the thicker chunks and just lay them in like this in your pie. Whatever you like, there's no rule. It's all preference on how you like to chew your apples and eat your apples in your pie. But they're going to be all soft and wonderfully baked when the pie's done anyway, so I don't think it matters too much on that score. All right, I thought I'd give you an idea. There's also another little surprise with the apples I'm going to do for you in just a moment. Are you recording? Yes. Well, I did an error. I wasn't recording. I thought I was. I took the last apple. I put it in a magic bullet. I put a 1/4 cup of brown sugar in it, and I had to use about 2 tablespoons of water to get it into an applesauce type flavor for the apple chunks. I'm so sorry. Thought I was recording. I'm gonna pop this in the refrigerator, so that way once I'm done doing the crust, I can pull this all out, I can mix it, and then put it in the pie crust. All right. So my potatoes finally decided to get all nice and soft. I am going to peel them before I pop them in the refrigerator and get them cold. Just be careful because they are a little hot. It's actually pretty easy just to peel them right after you get them softened. Yep. It is hot. That's a warning. Definitely hot when you touch them. But that's the best to peel them off. And woo! So this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have them all peeled. I'm going to refrigerate them. Once they're cool enough, we're going to grate them up and we're going to turn them into a pie crust. And you know what? My little dogs love sweet potatoes. So we'll just give them a little nubbin once it's cool enough. They're going to have a little bit of sweet potato. They also got some apples. You kind of missed that part. I have the best dogs in the world. They get fresh vegetables and fruits whenever I can give them a slice here and there. I hear that dog food, they cook out a lot of nutrients in the dog food, so then they supplement them with powdery vitamins, which then you're counting on machines to actually give them the precise vitamins. So if their machine is off temporarily, you could overdose them, or perhaps they don't get enough vitamin because if their machine's off, they're just not getting the vitamin. So I don't know, it's hard to say. I do throw like peas, carrots, and celery and things like that into their dry dog food at the dinner time meal. So they do get fruits and vegetables at night, but they don't get it in the morning. So I try to balance it out in the hopes that, you know, my dog food brand is on top of their machines and make sure that their machines are always precise. Okay, well, we'll just keep cooking along. So, welcome. I waited and waited, and my potatoes, they just weren't hard enough to basically shred. So I'm gonna do the mashing for them. So let me just put these in here. I think I have everything. I think I have everything set out. What I'm gonna do, since this is a potato base, I'm going to do a very light avocado oil. You can use different high heat oils that you want. I preheated my oven. It's at 350, which is the lowest pie temperature to make. I don't know if this is gonna work for non-stick, but I'm trying. Since, you know, technically this is the first time I did it. Or I'm making the recipe actually up on the fly. My towels? This is my oil towel. Just in case, I put that there. Just in case. So, to do an interesting little contrast, these are almond. It's almond meal. They come from Trader Joe's. I buy it mixed in things for texture. I'm going to put a teaspoon just at the bottom. I don't know if it's going to, well, 2 teaspoons. I don't know if it'll help anti-sticking or non-stick or, oh, well, that stuck. Well, we'll see. So, okay, let's get this party started. Put that in there. Let's do the egg first. That way, if it's bad, I won't be cracking it inside my potatoes. Smells good. Doesn't smell like a bad egg at this point in time. Let's rinse my fingers a little bit. Let's now do a dash of vanilla. I I just bought, it's called Sun Harvest Organic. I do plan on making my own vanilla. And here it's, or I've seen it's really easy to bake. So this is a half a teaspoon, just add that in there. Add a little oomph to the crust. Put that there. I didn't bring a fork to whip it, so we'll just whip it with a mashed potato masher. I don't know if I'm gonna need a second egg or not. I probably should put a second egg aside just in case. I figure the egg will bind it. You probably could figure out if you want to do it vegan. You could probably use agar. Kind of like pirates. Agar. A-G-A-R. I haven't really messed around with that too much because I'm not vegan. I just mainly have to concentrate on being gluten-free. And so far, everything that I'm doing will fit into the gluten-free category. I am going to just mash this around, and I might end up using my fingers to mash it all up. That might be the best solution. I probably could have tried to cut it into little chunks instead of just mash it this way, but it's the first time I'm doing this. Gotta try different things once in a while. And so far, I really, when I improvise, I do pretty good. I don't have a total bomb or a total, I can't eat that, you know, unless it's like onion rings and I accidentally put the flour on last instead of the eggs on last. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe it'll sweat out and then the onion rings will absorb and then it'll kind of fry up. And yeah, no, that wasn't that good. Those onion rings, I ate them, they were dry, but as I ate them, I'm going, okay, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. And this is a little bit more wet than I thought for a pie crust. So, I don't know how this is going to go. Let me get my hands a little. This is really good on your moisturizing, I have to say. So far, it's moisturizing. Why do I turn that the opposite way? There we go. I am going to put some almond meal in there. This is how you learn. Chester! My dog. He'll trip me accidentally. Just get in my way. He's a good little guy. No, I can't get those. Yeah, I love cooking. It's fun. No, actually I do. It's fun. It's just interesting when you're on camera. It's a whole different ball game. This is what? Third of a cup, so it's about half of that. We'll add that in there. See if it dries it up just a wee bit. So it's got like an almond potato flavor. And we'll try the masher again. See if that helps a little bit. Yeah, it looks like it's drying up a little bit. Getting a little on there. You might want to experiment. You can buy dry potato flour too, if you want to go that route. You can use a potato rice or you can shred it. You can do whatever you want with your potatoes to get into the crust format. These probably would be really good potato pancakes, actually. So I'm going to go thin. This is going to go in there. I actually was researching while I took a pause, videoing, and you can make potato pizza crust. And that would be really good if you're gluten-free to master that as a twist. It's kind of like a shepherd's pie type style, I guess, where your crust is the potatoes. It's definitely, I didn't expect it to even be kind of remotely like a pie crust. This is just something that I thought the sweet potato would go quite well with apples. It's kind of sweet to begin with. I'm just going to kind of press this around. I wish I could be one of those individuals that keep one hand clean and one hand messy to cook, but there we go. So I'm going to pop this in the oven. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I want to say about 10 minutes because it's going to be wet. And then once it's been 10 minutes, I'm gonna pull it out and I'm gonna put the apples in it. This should pull up with the egg. If I put another egg in it, it would be just too wet right now, so I'm not gonna risk making it a soup. And I will be back once the crust is out and we'll start preparing the apples and then I'll rebake it until I get the consistency I want with the apples. All right. So it's actually taken about a half hour and I did touch it with my finger about a minute or two ago and it finally has a little crusty form to put the apples on. I didn't want to do it when it's mashed because I didn't want it seeping. So I'm going to take it out of the oven. I hope you can see. And then we will prepare. I didn't want to wait too long, but it's got a very little bit of browning around some of the edges. So if I were to do this again, I think it's on my list to make potato flour myself because potato flour is a little expensive. So I would turn part of the potatoes into flour to use a drier mix with the raw potatoes. Now this is the applesauce type stuff that I did earlier that I made. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some cinnamon. I buy the Ceylon. The Ceylon's supposed to be the one that they tell you to buy for your health benefits. Look it up, see if it works for you, talk to your doctor. I don't know. I just hear that the Ceylon's supposed to be the one that you want. I'm going to add some ginger. Remember, there's 1 apple, 1/4 cup of brown sugar in that already, so I'm not going to add any more. I'm going to just put a nice little dash in there of ginger, add some pizzazz. Let me get a fork to mash it a little. I was going to do it when I blended it, but I truly apologize if I'm making weird faces and stuff. I'm actually, like right now, I'm actually battling with some pain, and my pain medicine kind of just did not decide to work today. So, I apologize. I enjoy cooking, so that's what I'm concentrating on. So, I'm going to spoon these out. I probably should have used a bigger bowl to mix them around in. No big deal. We can change them if necessary. Probably could have got away with 8 apples or 7 in the cut up. And I did relook at the package. These apples are called Sweet Tangos. That's the name, like that. Sweet Tango. I can't tango. Don't ask me to. That's kind of like singing. If I start dancing, things start flying. I'm clumsy. I'm a swimmer. I can swim for hours. I never get tired. I'm not a fast swimmer. I'm not a slow swimmer. I am just a nice steady swimmer, and if all else fails, I can float. I can float in a pool. Floating is what I call my superpower. I can fall asleep floating on my back. I've had people poke my feet to see if I was still awake because they were afraid, or that I was still alive, I should say, because I just wouldn't move. I would just fall asleep floating in the pool. It is, to me, my zero gravity zone out. So get all this good stuff in here out. And yeah, I should have used that slightly bigger bowl so I could toss this around. And you can sprinkle some of the cinnamon on there. You can add more sugar. You can, it's your apple pie mixture. I actually lucked out. Remember to use my hot hands, because best thing I need is burn, burn, burn. Got my pie right there. I think I can just literally pour it. Kind of just go like that. Oh yeah. Perfect. Yummy, yummy. This is a 10-inch glass pie pan from Libby. I will try to find the exact one. I like it because it has handles. I have some that are just edged and some that are handled. I like the handle one. I'm not trying to grab and put my thumbs in the pie. This is another container lid that actually fits perfect for this. I'm gonna try to leave that on for about 10 minutes, baking that way to get the apples all melted down and kind of like gelatinous from the pectin in them. And then I will take the top off after 10 minutes, or if I see that it needs more, I'll leave it on more. I'll let you know when I pull it out. And then I will go for a nice light crisping browning. And just in the spirit of everyone loves salt, I don't mind salt, but I prefer usually after the fact. So if it's one ingredient I forget most of the time, it's salt, because I don't put that much priority on salt until after the dish is done. And being a sweet, I usually don't salt my sweets. But okay, well, this baby's going back in. I'm gonna set the timer for about 10 minutes to check it and see what it looks like. I might cool it out so you guys can see what I'm looking for before I do the total lid off. I will be back. I'll see you in a bit. Hello. So after about 28 minutes, I had to up the, sorry, pain. I had to up the temperature in the oven to 400 because it wasn't warm enough. And then the apples, they just started bubbling. So I'm gonna take it out real quick for you to see if you can see it. I can't coordinate my camera tonight to do all the fancy zooming in stuff. Ooh, yeah. See, it's beginning to bubble. So I'm just gonna take the lid off. Oh yeah, woo! Oh, let me, I don't wanna break this lid because of the heat, so let's put this guy up here. Didn't think this one through. There we go. There we go. I'll wash it all later. Let's see. Yeah, those are almost soft enough, so actually I'm going to turn it back down and probably going to put it for about 10 minutes. So we'll do 10 minutes on. Let's do convention. Let's do about convection 350. The one thing about these fancy dancy ovens, I was used to just put a dial on your oven. Ooh, that's all bubbling good. So I turned it down. I will say this. My mind is already spinning that I might try to make it more like an apple crisp the next time. Just load up a pan with a whole bunch of the seasoned apples and then do the potato stuff on top. But I'm still open. It's probably going to taste wonderful anyways. I will be back when it's done and it's cool enough to eat. So we did it! We're done! This is basically what it looks like. There are some modifications that I will most likely do. Let's go that way. In the future, I really think it'd probably be better to have the crust on top. That way the apples get a little bit more softened. Let's see. I don't have a triangle pie cutter. So, yeah, this is more like an apple crisp, which is good. Not complaining. Spoon it out. There is crust. And for the first time, just throwing a recipe together. We shall see. Ooh, look at that steam. I guess I could have waited. Look at all that. Yeah, it didn't cool quite because it's still got a lot of juice in there. And that could be because I soaked the apples in the sugar water before I baked it, instead of just letting the apples do their thing. So let's taste. Let's taste. Oh. Let's see if we can. Oh. I am afraid to say this, but I might just add a tiny bit more brown sugar, but these apples are target. They have a softness, but a slight crispness to them still. So they're just not a mashed apple, how some apple pies you get and they just taste like slimy, mushy apples. So they still have the crispiness to them. Let's try a little bit of crust. The crust is really good. Just gotta figure out, I think coming up with a, add some sweet potato flour to it. Or you could probably use a little bit of regular flour just to dry it out a little bit more so it's not so wet. That pie crust is amazing, actually. The almonds. Oh, yeah. So the flavor's good. It's all past as far as taste. Presentation, definitely got to work on it, but it's cooking. It's fun. You can put in little ramekins and do it just as kind of like a little custard style looking dessert. You don't have to have it as a pie looking dessert too. Alright, I hope you enjoyed. I hope I took you away, and I hope you learned something. Don't be afraid to try things. Experiment a little. It's fun.